Hi everyone and welcome back to another video with me Shruti Vashisht. You're watching Living Our Ascension. So today's video is inspired by a question that I got from somebody who's following me on Instagram, and I thought it would make a good video for the channel because it's an interesting subject that I don't think I've addressed before very directly. And it's funny because it also relates to the work that I'm doing right now. As I've expressed before on this channel, I'm making a course currently on entering the fifth dimension, like activating the fifth dimensional vibration in our body. And this question kind of relates to that because it's about self-expression, and I'll read out the question and then we'll go from there. And I'm excited, and thank you so much for this question. So before we begin, I want to let you know that I have a few links below this video, so please check them out. There's links to work with me personally at an individual level to accelerate your ascension and self-mastery, and address those individual needs as well, that we all face during this process. And then there's a recent course that I put together which is called Manifest Soulmate Relationships. It's all about the reunion with your soul family, and things that people call soulmate, twin flame, whatever. It anchors that vibration, and it's really in depth. I have very body-based exercises, as I keep saying. And there's a free course as well, a free mini course that you can check out, which is along the same lines. So find all those links below this video. And now I would like to read out the question that I got, which is, hi Shruti, I was recently challenged to work on my openness, and I'd really love to connect with you. If you have a moment, I'm very interested in what first called you to share your knowledge publicly and how you work on being vulnerable in a public space. So this is what they said, and usually I just paraphrase a question that somebody's asked, and I don't remember exactly what they say in my videos, but today I thought, since I have this on hand, I can read it out. So again, thank you so much for this question. And so I'm going to speak about then vulnerability and self-expression, because this person is speaking about openness. They're wanting to express themselves, like they've been called to more openness, and they're asking me to share about how I was first called to share my knowledge publicly. So that is, if I sort of give you the whole details on that, it's going to be like a 3-day video, I guess. But in short, what happened was that this was the beginning of my spiritual awakening, essentially. And I think this happened in around 2013. I used to live in Hong Kong back then. I had a job there, and I was working and everything, and I used to live alone as well. And stuff just started to come up, because this is what happens during a spiritual awakening. I was always a very happy girl, very like happy even by myself, and just happy in my own world and stuff. But I went through a period suddenly where everything felt too much. The collective energy started feeling too much, and I never believed in God and all these things before, or even energies. I used to stay away from such people usually because I felt that they were quite ungrounded, and many of them are as well. So I was right about that, but what I didn't know was that there is some truth as well to this. Just because people are not embodying it in a grounded way doesn't mean that the truth actually changes. So that is something that I began to see then, and I hadn't realized it yet because I was still going through the healing process first. So what happened was that because the energy of the earth is changing, right? So we're going through the shift in consciousness. So the light is landing more and more, and the more light that lands on the planet, for the people who are open, light starts to enter the body, and when it enters, it brings up everything that is unlike itself, that is hidden, because that is what light does, right? Like imagine there's darkness here, like it's night time, and somebody flashes a torchlight. It's like from miles away you can see that light, and you can see it's very visible whatever the light is on, because that's the only thing that you'll see. It'll stand out, so it's like it's right there in front of your face. So that is how healing and holding also work, and so that is what I was experiencing. Suddenly these things came to light that I had suppressed in my childhood, and I didn't even remember them properly, these experiences. And I'd gone through some a little bit of like sexual abuse, and it wasn't rape, but it was I was put in a very vulnerable situation with a man who was a family friend basically, and I was alone in the house with them, and then they started touching me and whatnot. And in that moment, because I was so young, it was like I got that feeling within my body that if I fully reveal that I know what he's doing to me, because he was being a little bit sly, like it wasn't that obvious. He was like trying to whatever touch me and grope and stuff, with the pretext of hugging me and saying bye, because we were like my family and I were shifting to I think we were going to Kuwait. So because my family and I, like, we've shifted a lot throughout our lives, so we were always in India and then abroad and then back and then abroad. So he was saying things like, you guys always go abroad and I miss you when you leave. And then he was like, he put me on his lap and he was doing stuff. So essentially I pretended that I didn't know what was going on, because I was scared for my life, that if I reveal to this guy somehow that I know what he's up to, then I'm alone in the house with him and something even worse can happen to me, like he can physically harm me or try to kill me or whatever my little brain thought back then. But I recognized that I was in danger, in physical danger, and there was like this switch that happened within my body, and I somehow managed to also in a clever way get out of that situation. But as a child, you should never be put in that situation where you have to think in a bit of a manipulative way, in a sly way, that how do I get out of this, and then you kind of scheme your way out of it in a sense. So what happened was that at that time I remember having this thought that I have to hide this from my family. Like it's almost like I was ashamed about it, and there was this feeling of shame, and there was this feeling of that if I reveal this, it's because my family and their whole family, because this is how Indian families work, right? Like there's one family, then there's that person's family, and then we have more in common, and it's like a whole network. So I was like, if I reveal this to my parents right now, it's going to cause just so much like they're going to break apart the families. And I was a child, so it wasn't anything logical or whatever. It's just probably what I'd absorbed from society, right? Like the unsaid things that are sort of said to us through the body and through what we see in our adults, like how we feel, how a child feels their energy for the most part. And I'm not saying it's anybody's fault. This is how societies are formed. Through, because you see what your parents are doing, what generally your teachers, just everybody around you, and generally in the collective. So we children, they absorb this energy. So somehow I just told myself that I can't reveal this to anybody. I have to keep it to myself, and I just it's over, like whatever, I got out of here safely. And somehow he stopped, because I don't remember exactly what I did, because obviously when you're a child, like there's a little bit of dissociation that happens, right? Like when you're in a state of vulnerability, in a state of like physical danger somehow. So the body can't process all at once what happens, and there's a dissociation process, like you lift slightly off the ground. This is how I interpret it in a spiritual sense, that like your body sort of vacates, your consciousness sort of, not consciousness, it's like there's different parts of you, right? That's what the inner child is. There's a certain part of you that comes forward and takes that abuse, or handles that situation, handles the emotions, the intense emotions that a person is feeling in any life or death type situation, that the child interprets is life or death for them, whether even sometimes it isn't, but that's how the child interprets, right? So a certain part of us comes through and takes that abuse, or takes the intensity of that, because if the whole body won't be able to handle it, because it's a child's body after all. And then that part of us gets repressed. And this is not unusual, just because I've been through some abuse that I can put my finger on. It's not the only thing. No matter who we are, if you are born on this planet, you hold things that are suppressed. So okay, I know that I'm taking a really long I'm giving a really long explanation, but I'm coming to the point because it's about vulnerability, and it's this my story, since you asked me to share what first caused me. So anyway, to express myself in a open way and share like my knowledge. So essentially it was just this started to come up when I was an adult, and it happened when sometime after those people visited us. Like, I used to live with my family at one point also in Hong Kong, my parents, and this relative, this person who had abused me, he came to visit, and my parents didn't know about the fact that this had happened, and this is like years later, right? Like now, then I was I think in my late 20s or whatever. And this person came and it suddenly brought back all of those memories, and the fact that I had repressed it, and I actually attracted a much bigger situation later on in my teens, when I first started going to college. I guess like in the US it's called university, but I started going to college, and I used to commute by local transport, and on the bus, like there was a man who was molesting me, and I didn't know, like he was sort of just grinding against me, and like I was in a skirt and stuff, and he was sort of just grinding against me, and I was shocked, and I was when I realized what was happening, I just froze somehow, and I took the abuse. And if anybody who knows me and knows my personality, like ever since I've been a child, I've been this like badass, and I answer back and whatever, so they can't relate it to how I am, like and so that was a part of my disappointment later with myself as well. Why did I take the abuse? Like, how did I suddenly become one of those people that just takes abuse and doesn't say anything about it or whatever? That's not what I stand for. That's not how I am in my life otherwise. But there can be these parts of you that are so hidden and so suppressed, and it has to do with I won't get into what it has to do with like past lives and just society in general, but just know that we as humans, we all contain this, because we are born on this planet where things are so dense. So whatever the reason is, it's not super important. The point is that the light brings it up. Like when we're open to something, when we're open to a certain desire, like in this case, this person who's asking me the question, they want to be open, they want to express themselves. So the reason, the way that we bring that out more in our lives is by going within first. So it means if let's say we desire to be more open with others, so there's a part of us where we are not being as open as we possibly can be with ourselves. So in my case, that is what happened, right? Like I realized that that there is some hidden shame that is there. There's this really suppressed thing that is there, and if I don't like address it, it's going to bring up things later on in my life. And by that time I started to realize that we create our own reality, and so therefore this incident that had happened in my childhood probably brought about what happened during college time, because everybody was watching on that bus and nobody said anything. Like they were watching this man do this to me, and nobody said anything. So it was like my shame really got magnified and intensified because it was like a public show, and I froze within it. Why wasn't I doing anything? Like I didn't say anything because I was so ashamed that my dominant feeling at that time was that I was so ashamed that to admit it, the fact that this was happening to me, to admit that was more shameful, was more was more hurtful for me, more painful than to take abuse. Because in order to say something or to tell him no or to shout or have any sort of reaction, I would first have to move into that state to fully acknowledge that this is happening to me, and this is what we do in all sorts of situations, like whether it's abuse or anything that is suppressed within us. We haven't admitted to ourselves. It's too painful for humans to admit to themselves that this is how suppressed I am. And in any aspect of life this can apply. It doesn't have to be, like I said, sexual abuse in everybody's case. It could be our self-expression, it could be our worth, it could be whether we feel worthy of abundance in our lives, just really anything. Love, self-love, because our society is formed in such a way that we are kept down, and that dominant frequency just persists in the collective and in our subconscious. It's not healed, which is why then there's these predators that, you know, are lurking about. It's not really their fault as such either. In fact, they are very, very even more suppressed, right? Which is why it's become such a dominant thing that is what they're doing in their life. It's playing out in a subconscious manner, and it's penetrated into their physical life like that. But anyway, so what I want to say is that this basically started my quest to go within myself and to address those parts of me, because I started realizing that if I don't address this, then it's going to play out my whole life. You know, I'm never going to have a stable or a satisfying relationship, and there were other things also going on, but I won't get into it's going to make this video too long and it's off the point, but you get the gist of it, that this is how like we need to go within those parts of ourselves where we are suppressed, whether that is shame, anger, repressed, any kind of repressed emotion. I feel like shame is one of the lowest ones, because it's really denying yourself. Shame is what? Like, I don't want to be seen. I don't want to be seen. I'm not worthy of being seen. And it's denying the reason you came here. It's like you are a light in this world. You are here to exist. You are here to take up space. And you're saying that even this little space that I take up, I'm not worthy of this. Like, don't look at me. This is the vibration of shame, right? Like, I would rather hide away in my corner and never even act or do anything to try and fulfill myself. I would rather that part of us, so that is what shame is. And so with when I started addressing this, then I realized how the dynamics of how this works, the healing and holding process. So it was really deep for me. I started going inside my body and addressing those parts of myself that were suppressed, essentially. So in the case of and then because this changed everything in my life. I was going through periods of darkness, and then of course the light was coming in more, because the more you penetrate that darkness, when you willingly enter those parts of yourselves that are in the shadows, lying in the shadows, and you go with love without any judgment for those little children of yours that have taken that abuse or are suppressed somehow. They have carried that for you all of these years, and you go there without judging for how they are, because sometimes our inner child is what comes out when we get angry, when we get pissed, when we act from shame, whatever those things are, that we don't like within ourselves, the things that we really feel ugly about, whether it's physically, emotionally, we don't like within ourselves. We don't like seeing them, and we just think that we don't even want to look at them. So when you can look at those with new eyes, with neutral eyes, knowing that this is like a child and what it's done for you all of these years, then something starts to open up. That thing is released, that shame or whatever suppressed emotion it is, and that creates space for the light to enter in that area that was dark, and the light immediately comes in. It's always wanting to come in. It's always there. It's only that we have created these parts of ourselves that we don't want to see. So it's like we're limiting light. We're saying, well, light, you can enter here, 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 but not here. So with our energy, basically we're saying that. But when you make yourself open even to those areas that feel painful, yes, light comes in and it feels more painful than suppression. But suppression underneath the surface causes long-term problems. That is where diseases stem from. And then of course we don't relate it, like we were like, what does cancer have to do with abuse or whatever? We can't relate it because we've been taught that way, that these things are not connected, even though they are. So actually it causes more damage, suppression, but humans think that it's not related. So going into your those parts of you that have felt wounded or whatever, in the beginning it causes more pain, because it's like suppressed stuff. It suddenly comes to the surface. Like, I had totally forgotten about even this abuse. My best friends didn't know about it even, I told like people that I was dating and stuff, but other than that I don't think I told anybody. And somehow I convinced myself that it's not important. It's something that happened in my childhood, and doesn't affect me, it's fine. I don't talk to that guy, whatever. But yeah, but when this came out, then my whole life changed, because then the choices that I made, then, you know, with my family as well, some of them weren't supporting me, or it was too much for them to accept. And then my disappointments with my family, just questioning all of it. Why am I here? What is the purpose of even family? Does love even exist if, you know, they can't support me like my own parents properly? My father especially, you know, like my mom was still on board, but it took them a while to fully like come on board. And it was creating lots of big changes for them, because then, you know, I was asking that I don't want to meet these people. Like, I don't want, as long as I'm here living with you, or, you know, if there's any common family functions and stuff, I want to be excluded. So you know, to me it's just a small thing, like they're just functions. But, you know, to other people like my parents, let's say, it means something else. It's like their whole security is based on this network of like relatives and whatever. You know, they have known a different life, and there's these attachments that are there. So I, with my energy now, was causing a lot of breakdowns and discomfort to not only myself but everything. So people don't want to get into the mess, so-called mess of this, right? But anyway, so all of this was happening, and I started realizing just how many hoops I had to go through for something that should have been given to me, you know, because I was a victim and I was a child. And I'm not saying that you should identify with like this victimhood and live in that forever, but it's like when I reveal it to my family or to whoever, the kind of reactions that I was getting, this denial, this suppression, people even said, did you imagine it? You know, things like that were said to me. And then other people even were blaming me, you know, that she has she claims to be intuitive, but maybe she's seeing hallucinations, like maybe it's a mental disorder and she's just putting it on this guy. And these are like people I know, you know, people who are so-called relatives or whatever. And basically everybody was just selling me out because it was too uncomfortable a truth for them to admit. The truth triggers us. And so basically I realized just how much. And by the way, I also knew other women in my family and my cousins and stuff who had been abused by the same guy. And I even approached them and I asked them, you know, why don't you come with me and let's go talk, because this needs to be healed. Like, I mean, you know, maybe his family needs to know, because he's married, he has a child, and you know, who knows who else he's abusing, and this is a proper problem, you know, it goes beyond just us and whatever. And again, I was refused. You know, they were like, it's fine, you know, I don't think this is the right thing to do for me or whatever. So left, right and center, this is what I was receiving, and I felt so alone in all of it. But my journey from there of just knowing that that help that I wanted from everybody else, that love, that acceptance, I gave it to myself. I was put in a position where I had to give it to myself, because I knew that this is something right. I have to do it. I have to stand for what is right. I don't care how many families it destroys. If my relationship with my parents breaks, I don't care what it does. It's the right thing, you see. So I stood in that very firmly, and this was very clear to me that this is what I have to do. Even if, you know, tomorrow, I don't know, somebody attacks me, whatever, who knows what can happen. I am here. I'm full on. I'm in this, and whoever thinks whatever about me, and because there's a lot of judgments as well, you know, related to like sexual abuse and all that in India especially. Like, I heard people even saying, so is that why she didn't get married, you know, because she was abused? And so all of this plays out. It's like in the subconscious of people, you know, that the first thing, instead of seeing truth, they will it's like almost like they have defenses that are ready there, you know, that are lower in nature, that is based in duality and based in aggression, to put down that one person who is coming with truth. It's like, you know, you will receive like people shooting bullets at you, and you have to sort of make your way through that. So I realized that this is what the feminine is doing now. The feminine energy on the planet right now needs to take leadership. It's like not there at all. And you know, we need to come through with this. And then I started speaking in public. I was like, you know, you won't listen to me, you won't whatever, everybody's trying to suppress me, and suppress the truth rather. It wasn't even about me. and in a very loving way. By the way, I wasn't like ranting and whatever on at least on camera, like I might have done it with individually with my family or whatever. But on camera, because I'd started this channel and stuff, or maybe it was Facebook, I don't remember, but anyway, but I gave voice to it and I spoke about this story and I spoke about stuff, and even more women in my network came out to tell me later, or I think they told my mom that the same guy had done this to them. So and they were actually much closer as well to this person. So anyway, what I'm saying is that this is being a light pillar. Like I allowed for this healing and holding to occur within myself. I allowed for this healing and holding, this discomfort to happen, this healing that happens after allowing some discomfort, because one of the aspects of the feminine is being okay with death. The feminine is about death as well, it's the negative energy. Negative doesn't mean negative like bad, but like the poles of a magnet, positive and negative. So masculine is positive and feminine is negative. It like magnetizes to itself rather than going out there and creating the main aspect. And I'm not saying that women are only feminine. We have both polarities, but of course if you're in a feminine like a female body, you carry a lot of this energy for the most people who are in a feminine body, so basically when you align with truth, often you are called to take on a leadership like this, that is about like these goddesses, these archetypes. Like when I do tarot cards, sometimes I don't know which goddess it is, and it's written that she stopped like a whole army because she was having a period. She was like, I need to be comfortable, I'm not it needs to be respected. Like there's a value for emotions, there's a value for what is happening in our inside. It's not just about action. So she put like a whole army or whatever to rest for one day. Like there's nothing happening, I am the leader, so you will wait for me because I am having my period. So it's that level of power, that we have to claim, that the feminine has to claim, whether it's in a female body or even male body, but it's leadership with the feminine. So don't be afraid of things falling apart, things breaking down, things leaving your life, things dying, essentially this death that happens, which is really just a beautiful process of things leaving and then coming back in a new form, in a higher vibration. That is what the feminine does. It's about cycles. So when one cycle ends, we enter the portal. It's like a black hole, right? So something comes, it gets sucked into the center, but on the other side is a whole new dimension. It's a higher dimension. So we can think of it as elevation, but really another way to look at it, and how it's usually felt in the body when the body is ascending, the enlightenment process is happening in the body, is that it feels like you're going deeper and deeper within. So it's like often in spirituality, for the heart chakra, there's a symbol of a rose, and it has petals inside, like layers and layers. So you finish one and then you go inside, and then there's a whole bunch of petals inside, and then again, then it blooms and there's more. So it's like, there's all of these layers, cycles. The cycle of life and death, the cycle of death and rebirth. This is one of the aspects of the feminine. And this has been super suppressed, or it has been labeled that this is bad, that the feminine should only be this way, should only be this soft one that receives. And no, the power aspect of the feminine is about this, is about destruction also. It's about allowing death where it is naturally happening, just like nature does that, in order to restore balance, in order for that balance to be held, be able to sustain, right? It's for the highest good of all. So death is a natural process of life. Without death, the new cannot blossom. Okay, so how then specifically for being able to express yourself? So essentially why I told you this really long story is because I got vulnerable with myself, and then I applied it to everything. Every time that I would feel suppressed or some sort of emotion, I would go within, just breathe within that and check, what is this that I'm feeling. And I got really open with myself, and then I felt the truth of just how much of a need there is right now for this to be spoken about, expressed, in one form or another. And then it wasn't something like a mental choice that I made. It just felt like there's so few people doing this, or it's really, even more than that, it's just the flow of the goddess, the flow of the feminine happening naturally now, like you see in the Me Too movement, you know, that's happening, that was happening a few years ago and still continues to at this time. And that this whole thing of empowerment, this whole thing of the, you know, vulnerability being beautiful, that vulnerability is actually strength. And this is the natural flow of the feminine that is happening now on the planet. The feminine is, the true feminine is becoming more present, because we are evolving. So it needed to happen. And it's only when the true feminine first comes and becomes fully grounded, then the true masculine can come in, because it's the higher principle, the masculine principle. Higher doesn't mean better, it just means more refined. Like, again, people think of refined as better, but it's like a more subtle quality, you can say. Feminine is like, you know, love. It's like the cycles of death and rebirth. And the masculine principle is the principle of light. So it has to do with like always being like stable and like consistency, you can say, and outer action. So there's different parts of the masculine. I won't go into it now, but so basically vulnerability became very important and central in my life, and I realized how much of a need there is in the world. And it wasn't even a conscious, like a choice that I was making. It was just that I allowed the goddess to flow through me. I was like, I'm willing to die for this, you know. And if something is leaving my life, or if whatever, it's not my response. First of all, it's not your responsibility to wonder what will other people think of me. Let them choose what is right. Let them come to the point where even you came, right? You were presented with a choice. Didn't it help you to come face to face with that? Even if it was painful in the beginning, it's actually freedom. So allow other people. You don't have to protect them in this way that is like fake, you know, that is not natural. Like I said, Mother Earth, part of her loving us is allowing death, allowing the release of the things that need to be released, so that other things that are needed can prosper, so that overall there's order that's maintained, life sustain, you know, the sustenance and balance. And actually, when you do properly allow death, it's the most peaceful process ever. It's only our mind, when we're holding on, that we think, and I mean like death, like whether it's physical death or whether it's death happening in your body through the empowerment process and the choices you make in your life. So when it comes to opening up and expressing ourselves, the highest, most core way, because my channel is just about that, my whole vibration is about that. So you know, I feel that this is the only way to live now. You see, it's the authentic way to live, is to be vulnerable, and to basically by example show that that vulnerability is strength. Because I'll leave you with one more example. It's not going to be long, don't worry. But when are we most vulnerable? It's like, you know, when we are making love with another person, we are fully naked, like, right, like in our body. But also when that penetration process happens, when the union happens, like you can feel this energy that is more than just physical almost, or it's, at least people will feel it. I'm sure everybody feels it as more potent. That's why it's also more pleasurable. But also when we haven't resolved things, like a lot of emotional stuff is there, it can also, sex can also feel painful. Or even if the actual physical process is not after that, you know, there's a lot of stuff that comes out, if you've noticed. But at the same time, when we fully surrender, that we trust that person, like as the feminine, for example, because that's how I can relate, right? So I'm giving you from that perspective. But if we just fully open and surrender, and we allow what we trust to come in, and there's no like distrusting, because then we clench and then it hurts. But we fully release, and then it's smooth, and then it leads to the most beautiful orgasm. It leads to this beautiful sensuality and flow. So and it leads to transcendence. That is the highest state we can feel in the body, when we feel that state of orgasm. And enlightenment, when it happens, you will be feeling that state of orgasm in the body anyways, just through breathing. You don't have to be, you know, making love to anybody or even yourself. It's just through breathing it happens. It's like a this circulation in the body that happens, that is like a mini orgasm just all the time, you can say. So vulnerability actually leads to the highest, the most power in the body, because what is more powerful than being orgasmic, in which state we are intensely magnetic to other people as well, in which state we are we love ourselves fiercely, and like it's like fierce self-love, in the sense that I accept my body, I also accept like myself emotionally, because I have to emotionally also open up to that person that I'm making love to. In that example, I have to trust that it's fine, and I allow them in within trust. So we become more vulnerable with ourselves, with all of the emotions and sensations that we have in the body through body work. And when we start penetrating that, we become open with ourselves, we become vulnerable with ourselves. It'll happen it's effortless. It'll happen then in the outer too. Like you will be able to express yourself in any way that you want, and it'll also naturally, in a sensual, nice way, also will be opening up, not only just healing, but then higher than the next stage of it is creativity, like that sensual creativity. For example, people start drawing mandalas, like how I'm feeling in the body, I might want to express it in some way through some very simple art as well. Authentic art, like when authenticity, vulnerability is landing in the body, you don't have to be like this really skilled person at a particular thing, because you'll want to explore even new talents. So it's the energy of creativity that's flowing through you, of sensuality. So you might want to create like mandalas to express how it is you're feeling, or use certain colors, dress in certain colors, and so all of these are different expressions. So it's the same with like speaking. Like let's say if you want to make a video like this, you can have just one simple message, whatever your authentic truth is. At that time it was painful for me, but I knew that it was important, so I switched on the camera and I spoke about this story just like I did now. And maybe I'm in a more relaxed state now because of even deeper levels of surrender that I've been through the years. But that time also it was freeing for me. It was vulnerable, and it's vulnerability is love. It's trusting yourself, loving yourself, and it's inviting others into that same space, knowing that first of all they have the potential. You see the love in everybody, that even the person who abused you, let's say in my case, at the end of the day they are also love, because they're an expression of source. So they in fact were revealing to me how I am love through a difficult way, but honestly, like if it weren't for them, I probably wouldn't have landed in this level of empowerment. So they also served me, maybe even in a more potent way than something that would have been more harmonious and encouraging. Abuse sometimes brings you in that state faster, because it shows you like it's right here, these are your wounds, this is how you're identifying as the wound. So go into it, love it, release the burden that you feel from it. It's no longer needed, and that is becoming intimate with self. So I would say start small, but be authentic. So whatever your authentic truth is now, we all have it. You don't need to be some sort of guru or anything. Even children, you'll see sometimes when they're expressing themselves, it's so pure, and they have this simple wisdom that is there, like they'll say, don't fight, what is it going to achieve? And then in the moment you're like, yeah, why am I doing this? So something like that has value. So whatever is authentic, other people will feel it, and that is our true expression. Okay, so it's getting dark, so I'm going to stop filming now. But my course that I'm putting together now, which will be available very soon, speaks much more in depth about this process. There's a whole section on authentic creativity, authentic expression, basically expression that flows from truth. And the first section is about that emotional vulnerability, about mastering the body, going within the body, the different practices that are there to do that level of emotional healing and holding, mastering that healing original cause, even this fear that we have of the darkness and the shadow and all of that, integrating all of that, and then through that, this beautiful expression that comes, that is through your authenticity, through embodied wisdom, And then there's even more higher stages that lead to then the full opening of the higher heart and living in divine love, serving as divine love. So I think that this may not be the video that the person was expecting, the person who asked me this question, but I hope it helps somehow. That's it. Thank you so much for watching. If you have more questions, you're welcome to send them in, and don't forget to subscribe and like this video if you got some wisdom today, and I will see you very soon in the next one.